So, psychosis runs in my family. My dad, he is bipolar and schizophrenic, and I kind of seen a little bit of it growing up, just watching my dad go through it. I'm bipolar with psychotic features, and I see and hear things and often have delusions where, like, I'll think the radio is talking to me, or I'll think that people are talking about me. And this started when I was about 13. That's whenever all of my mental health issues I really started to acknowledge. I didn't get help with any of it until I was 16. I was bullied really bad in school. Most of the time I spent my time in the counselor's office because going to regular classes was too hard. I often heard voices telling me to act out, and like I would get urges. If I didn't listen to them, they would get louder and louder. I would put my hands over my ears, and that wouldn't help. They would continue to grow louder, telling me to do things like throw chairs at people. They would tell me to hurt myself, and the voices would also tell me what to say. And when I didn't act on them, I started getting, I started feeling physical, but like sweating a lot, feeling too hot or too cold, starting to feel this tightness in my chest, almost like I was having a panic attack. But it would be if I didn't follow the voices. So, I got help at 16. I was extremely suicidal and dealing with all of these things. And so I went to the mental hospital for the first time, but that wouldn't have been my last time. I started getting into drugs and alcohol, which made my psychosis worse. I started smoking weed and drinking first when I was 15, and then it continued to get worse. I was drinking every day. I was skipping school, and then with the help of my counselors, I ended up graduating early. I did a semester of college, but then in 2017, I started using meth and fentanyl. And when I started using meth and fentanyl, my life just totally went downhill. And the whole time I'm dealing with this depression, these suicidal thoughts, I'm picturing how I'm going to kill myself. And I'm acting out on it. I overdosed and killed myself once in 2020. And that's when I became homeless. And I started living on the streets. And, I started doing meth more. And I started seeing tree people. Or that's what I call them. But it's whenever you see figures in the woods and everything. Or just shadows. I started seeing them more often. I would always act on my feelings. I no longer had control over my psychosis. So, like, there was this one time where I called the cops because I thought that my boyfriend had wrecked my grandma's car, but it wasn't wrecked. But I saw it as wrecked because of the way it was sitting. And so I called the cops, and so I was acting on my psychosis. Well, in 2022, May 18th, I got put on drug court. In drug court, I had to be sober, completely and totally sober. So May 18th, 2022 is the last time I used meth or fentanyl. And I haven't used since. I've got about 22 months sober. And, things are doing better. I'm still on medicine for my psychosis. I get an injection monthly. Some days are better than others, but for the most part, I'm doing really well. I've got my own car. I graduated drug court in November, and I'm still sober, even though I don't have to be sober. I'm choosing to be. Cutting out the drug use really helped with my psychosis. Sometimes I still have my bad days where I'm seeing and hearing things more, but I'm coping with it better than I was instead of using drugs and alcohol. I'm about to get my own place. I've got my own car, and I haven't been hospitalized in over 2 years. And that's something I'm really proud of, because I was going to the hospital every other month, and I'm just doing really great now. So the first time I went to the mental hospital, that was the beginning of my, I want to say, like, really understanding my diagnosis. While being inpatient, I have never had any problems with anybody inside a mental hospital, like, not helping me. I think that the mental health techs are really good at what they're doing, and I had to be hospitalized multiple times, but that's because I wasn't working with myself. And I worked with a caseworker, so I saw a caseworker all the way up until last year. The caseworkers are really, really good. They were really resourceful, and my psychosis was so intense that I had to have intense treatment. I was in a program called ACTE. They were really good, and I graduated that. I met with 5 people. I met with a peer support. I met with a nurse. I met with somebody who helps with jobs and school. I met with a substance abuse counselor. And then I had my psychiatrist. And that was really great. For a long time, I didn't actually engage with them. Once I saw that they were actually trying to help me, because for a long time I always said that they were paid to do that. They didn't actually care. They always reassured me that they did care, and they showed that they cared. Like when I was homeless, they let me come to the office and sleep and hang out. And like they always gave me food baskets, and they had a 24-hour care line where I could call if I was in a crisis, and they would answer and talk me down. I was in that program for like 7 years. It really helped once I actually started engaging in it. I think that's the one issue with trying to treat people, is getting them to engage. Because if you're anything like me, I didn't want to engage, even though the treatment did work in the end. For a long time, I ran from it because I was so deep down in a hole that I created myself, that I had the illusion and the thoughts that if it got better, that would give me something to lose. And I always had that fear of getting better and then failing again. But you can't be afraid of failure, you know? And so when I finally started engaging, they really helped me out. Even though it's scary, talk about it. Because talking about it makes everything a lot better. And don't worry about people judging you. Find somebody safe to talk about it with and talk about it. And if you have an episode and you're embarrassed about it, don't be. Because it gets easier. It really does. You get stronger. You get better. You get smarter. And you can overcome your psychosis and learn to live with it and be friends with it. You know, it doesn't always have to be negative. Sometimes my psychosis, I'm not saying it's like positive, but the better my mood is and the better my thought process is, then the less severe my psychosis is. If I'm living in the positive and I'm living in the present, then my psychosis is easier to deal with. But if I'm down and in a really bad mood and I'm constantly looking for the negatives, then my psychosis is going to be a lot stronger. And you always want to be stronger than your psychosis, because your psychosis is just a part of you. So the way your brain works, you have to take care of your brain. And you have to be kind to your brain. You don't want to send more negativity in there when it's already got some negative things. I would definitely say that mental health workers were a huge part, like caseworkers, peer supports, drug abuse counselors. They were a huge support. When I was engaged, they had a lot of information. They listened to me. They really do care. They care more than just a paycheck. And I'm actually aspiring to be a peer support, which is what I'm working on right now, because I care so much about leading people away from the negative lifestyle that comes around finding out that you've got psychosis. And I want to help people, and I want to be there for people like me, because I think that I can help people. And it's all because I was around other mental health workers who cared. So the Youth Advisory Council, we're doing some really great things, and I'm really excited for it. We're figuring out ways to spread the word about psychosis and reach out to people who need help that don't know how to ask for help. And we're kind of reaching out our hands so that way they can grab it. We're a group of people who have lived experience with it ourselves and with our loved ones, and it's a really great thing. And I think we've got a lot of potential to grow, and we're going to spread the word that recovery is possible, and we're going to spread information about psychosis and get people some resources so that way they know where to go and what to do, and so that way they know that they're not alone.